Copyright 2026, Upendra Agnihotram, all rights reserved. When you are smaller than your opponent, when they control more of the board, more of the budget, and more of the authority, the most common response is often the most disastrous. You try to compete on their terms, attempting to match power with power you simply do not have. There is an alternative. You can allow your adversary to look right past you, deploying your own limitation as a deliberate tactic, so they conclude you are entirely too small to matter. This is the wisdom of Vamana, the dwarf avatar. He walked into the court of a king who ruled the universe, and he asked for the absolute smallest possible concession, 3 steps of land. True leverage in an asymmetrical conflict rarely looks like dominance early on. It looks like irrelevance, carefully maintained until the exact moment you are ready to take your second step. The king Vamana faced was Mahabali, a ruler who controlled the earth, the heavens, and the underworld. He had not stolen this empire. He earned it through rigorous practice and flawless dharmic rule. He was more virtuous and more beloved than the gods themselves. You cannot defeat an opponent like that with force or argument. So Vamana arrived at Mahabali's great public sacrifice, not as a warrior, but as a young, unassuming Brahmin boy. He made a request calibrated precisely to secure an easy yes, 3 paces of land, measured by his own tiny feet. The king's advisor instantly recognized the threat and warned Mahabali to refuse. But Mahabali had publicly committed to granting any boon. Withdrawing would mean breaking his word, and his integrity was absolute. He granted the request. The moment the commitment was secured, Vamana began to grow. His first step covered the entire earth. His second step stretched across the sky, instantly reclaiming the heavens and the cosmos. With nowhere left for the third step, Mahabali offered his own head. Vamana placed his foot down, pressing the king into the underworld. He did not destroy him. He granted Mahabali total sovereignty over that realm below, ensuring the king's honor remained perfectly intact. The 3 worlds were rebalanced. No wars were fought, and no cities were burned. The entire shift occurred through the perfectly timed expansion of a minimum viable foothold. When we map this to modern leadership, the first principle emerges clearly. Restraint is a strategy. Vamana did not ask for 3 steps because he lacked ambition. He asked for 3 steps because that was the exact amount required to guarantee a yes. Principle 2 relies on how your opponent perceives you. When you operate deliberately below the threshold of threat, a dominant competitor drops their scrutiny. They focus their defenses on visible, loud challengers, while granting your trivial requests without a second thought. This diagram illustrates the failure of the direct approach. A constrained leader demands an entire budget or full authority up front, triggering immediate resistance from the dominant player, and the path is blocked entirely. But watch the incremental strategy. A small, specific commitment easily bypasses those defenses, and once that first step lands, it triggers a cascade. It sequentially changes what the second step can reach, eventually opening up the entire board. The 4th principle is strategic empathy. Vamana did not attack Mahabali's weakness. He engaged his strongest virtue, his integrity. Finding a commitment your opponent feels honor-bound to keep secures a durable outcome without triggering a defensive war. Finally, the timing of the reveal. The full scale of your ambition must remain hidden until the initial commitment is irrevocably secured. Premature revelation invites premature resistance. This sequence is a highly precise, reproducible algorithm for turning a severe resource disadvantage into market dominance. We can watch this execute flawlessly in 1994. Jeff Bezos founded Amazon strictly as an online bookstore, intentionally masking any larger technological ambition. Books were the perfect first step. It was a category with a near-infinite catalog, but crucially, an online bookseller posed absolutely no perceived threat to the massive, established retail giants of the time. The incumbent department stores and physical bookstores granted Amazon that early market foothold without scrutiny. Operating completely below their threat threshold, Amazon was ignored. Then came the second step. From that secured foothold, Amazon expanded rapidly into music, electronics, and a global third-party marketplace. moving far too fast for the physical retail world to mount a defense. The final, cosmic step materialized before the market understood the shift. Amazon launched AWS, capturing global cloud infrastructure and restructuring how the modern internet operates. Amazon did not announce its intention to conquer global commerce and technology in 1994. Asking for a non-threatening minimum foothold while holding absolute internal clarity on your final destination is exactly how modern empires are built from zero. The logic holds regardless of your industry. You bypass heavy defenses through calculated restraint. You compound value incrementally. And you engage the highest virtues of those you need to move. Look at a current professional goal where you find yourself severely outgunned, restricted by a tight budget, or facing an opponent with overwhelming authority. What is your three-step strategy? Define the absolute smallest foothold that your opponent would freely grant you today. Then ask yourself what the second step looks like from that newly secured ground. The ultimate power of a strategic leader is knowing the full, cosmic scale of their ambition long before the rest of the world is ready to see it. We have reached the midpoint of the Dashavatara journey. The first 5 avatars navigated floods, stabilized the turning world, and mastered the art of strategic negotiation. But the next phase of our journey abandons strategy and restraint entirely. Instead, it clears the path with righteous destruction. Episode 6 introduces Parashurama. We examine institutional corruption that has gone too far and the hard, necessary work of clearing ground that can no longer be reformed. The Dashavatara Management Framework, ancient wisdom providing an eternal framework for modern leadership. Copyright 2026, Upendra Agnihotram. All rights reserved.